Hello, this is Aaron Rosen, your local real estate expert in Northern California. Today I have some great news for you. This is just a lot of fun, so I'm happy to bring this to you. Javier Milei got rid of rent control in Argentina and housing supply skyrocketed. Let's read more. Argentina's recent repeal of rent control by the libertarian president Javier Milei has led to a surge in housing supply, with the freedom to negotiate contracts previously restricted directly causing a drop in rental prices. I wonder where we have rent control in California. Well, let's read on a little bit. Milei, a self-described anarcho-capitalist known for his free market approach, repealed the 2020 rental law enactment by former leftist president Alberto Fernandez, which had imposed rent restrictions on landlords and led to a significant decline in rental availability. With Argentina's inflation reaching 211%, the highest in 32 years, rent prices were adjusted every 12 months, and leases had to last at least 3 years. The law, introduced in 2020, ended up distorting the real estate market and hurting both landlords and tenants. The law aimed to provide tenants with more financial security, but by the end of last year, an estimated 1 in 7 homes in Buenos Aires were sitting empty as landlords chose not to rent them out in Argentine pesos. Deposits were capped, and it was nearly impossible to end a tenancy early. This reminds me a lot of San Francisco. San Francisco has some really, really tough renters laws. Now, I'm not against renters' rights, and there are tons of landlords who abuse renters. There's also renters who abuse landlords, and some regulations are needed. But this is just a good example of how regulations can sometimes hurt everybody. So let's just read on a little bit. For many locals, finding a new apartment became mission impossible. But after the repeal, Buenos Aires saw a doubling in available rental units. The rent prices have stabilized, and under new rules, landlords and tenants have more freedom to agree on lease terms. If the duration isn't specified, it's defaulted for 2 years. This is one of my big gripes, actually, is that when you do a rental, the landlord says, I need 1 year commitment from you. And that can actually really hurt the tenant, because what if they need to move, they lose their job, there's a million different reasons why the house you're living is no longer the house you want to live in. And then for landlords to be able to charge you a bunch of money to move out when you're not even paying, to me, is one of the most ridiculous laws in all of real estate. I think it's absolutely atrocious that they're like, oh, well, your lease hasn't come up, you need to pay us X amount of money as part of an exit clause. I think that that's just absolutely terrible, and we need to get rid of that. That's one law that I think needs to be imposed on people, is you could move out. You can move out if you don't like the place, if there's a barking dog, if your neighbors are bad, if your landlord refuses to fix anything, you should be able to just move out with no consequences. Let's move on. We've seen a significant increase in rental apartments, and in some cases, we've had to lower prices in pesos because of fewer viewings, said this person, head of a real estate agency. Since Milei's repeal of rent control laws took effect in December 29, the supply of rental housing in Buenos Aires has jumped 195%. Wow, that's absolutely amazing. You think it'd be great if the number of available units in San Francisco doubled? I think that would be great. I can't remember exactly how many. Let's just Google this. Percent of SF rentals that are empty. I remember hearing it was quite a lot. How many apartments in SF? Look at this, 2024. More than 80% of middle income, below market rate housing units sit vacant in SF, partly thanks to red tape. So I don't know if this is going to be directly related, but guess what? we have a lot of places that are empty, and there's going to be some negotiation. If you could negotiate freely with your landlord and they could negotiate freely with you, then I think a lot of these places would come on the market at more reasonable prices. We have a housing crisis in San Francisco. We have tens of thousands of homeless people there and tens of thousands probably of empty rentals. What's going on? All right. The debate over rent control is not specific to Argentina. In the U.S., where housing affordability is a major issue, the Argentine example is drawing attention. The libertarian Cato Institute in Washington, D.C. pointed out that Argentina's experience shows the inherent problem of price control, which in the case of housing can both limit supply and worsen affordability problems more broadly. I wonder if that's going to affect us here. Milei cut rent and other tenancy regulations. The results confirmed economic theory. The supply of rental accommodations is surging and rents have fallen. President Joe Biden has proposed federal rent control measures, saying that they're needed to protect tenants from corporate landlord. He proposed limiting rent hikes to 5% a year for the next 2 years for landlords with more than 50 units. That's kind of interesting. I could see why that might work, but I think that with Argentina's recent developments in this, we should follow their example. We don't know if this is going to work, but we have a good guess that what's happening in Argentina will help the supply of houses here. Vice President Kamala Harris has also recently indicated support for rent controls, saying at her first major rally since becoming the nominee, she wants to take on corporate landlords and cap their unfair rental increases. How about we just get more houses? How about we increase the supply? That way it brings down the price that landlords and these greedy corporations can charge. You know, I'm always a fan of tackling an issue from many different sides. And usually, in this type of case, this is going to backfire. Whatever they've been doing. We've had rent control in San Francisco and California for a long time, and we have one of the most unaffordable states in the entire union. So maybe we should try to attack this problem from the other side of more housing. Biden's plan was meant to last 2 years, which the White House argues is enough time to build more housing that would relieve some of the affordability issues, particularly in cities. However, critics argue that with even more exemptions for new construction, rent caps discourage building more homes. Yeah, we just need more homes. Anything that's not more homes is going to be a band-aid on the problem, in my opinion. Housing costs have emerged as a key concern for Americans as the real estate market contends with the double whammy of high mortgage rates and the dearth supply, pushing the cost of owning a 26% higher than it was in 2020, according to a recent Redfin analysis. That's pretty big. That's becoming a major problem. 26% in the last 4 years. Of course, we've had a lot of crazy issues that have gone in that time frame, but you know, we need more houses. I'll say it again, I'll say it every video, just more houses. And you know, I see this a lot with my own customers. They say we've been priced out of the market. Everybody's waiting for houses to come down. They recently did a lowering of rates, but I don't think that they did it too soon. Housing prices in some areas have come down by maybe 20 or 30%, but in the 2008 crash, for example, they came down 50%, and we've had an even more pronounced bubble in that time. I think that houses should come down another 20, 30, 40, or 50% before they start to lower the rates. And you know, I can make a video on this, but the idea that the federal funds rate, to get that correct, is tied to mortgages is absolutely insane. The fact that that has a lot of cascading effects all through the market. And the cascading effects for large blue chip companies like Apple and all these different places is different than it is for people like you and me who are trying to buy houses. And so I think Here's just a wild idea. Maybe each state should have their own federal funds rate. Or maybe we should do what RFK said and have a 3% federally backed a federally backed mortgage loan. That would be great. Instead of lowering this a little bit before housing prices have come down, and actually overall in California, they didn't really come down. They just came down in a few little areas, is not really the approach that we need. As I just said, we need to tackle problems from all different sides. And getting the federal funds rate to actually have an effect on the housing market and not just corporatization is something that's going to be extremely critical for the housing supply. Okay, so I hope you found this interesting. And if you don't know, I forgot to show you this, just a quick little outro. Here's Milei wielding a chainsaw, which is, man, that's fun for a politician, huh? Guy sure knows how to, he sure knows how to put on a show. So I'm happy that the inflation is getting under control and they're getting more housing. So let's see if we can learn something from this guy and get some more houses in California. As always, if you would like to have a personal consultation, you're looking for a house or have any questions, all my contact information is below. Thank you much. Bye.